It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue-focused late-night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower. Our mission is to inspire. And our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Cedric Singleton. That's right, he's in the building. And then we talk about peak performance leadership. That's interesting. What's going on, Cedric? How are you?
Che, how's it going? Doing real well.
We're good, man. It's an honor and a privilege. And I don't get a chance to meet many people in person, but I got a chance to meet you and your team and hang out. So I'm really excited and couldn't wait for this episode. The number of folks that are looking at the title, and they're saying peak performance leadership. And they might be saying, first, leadership means a lot of different things to different people. So what is Cedric's view of the world? What is his definition of leadership? That's number one. And number two, why are leaders struggling to be top performers? I mean, I think that's why they're leaders.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back a little bit to where my leadership started. I started off in the military, and as I look at my time in the military and my time in corporate America, there's a common thread to leading, and that is you really have to care about people. In the military, you got what's called rank. They have to listen to you, but with rank does not come respect. And if they don't believe in you, and if they don't think that you believe in them, they won't respect you. And the same thing applies in corporate America. And I would dare say any place that you are in charge of people, and you call yourself a leader, if you don't start off with people at the center of your mindset, I don't think you will be a good leader. So I think that Shay is oftentimes where either the problem starts or where really good leaders start to emerge.
Well said. Peak performance. What does that mean, and what does that look like? I mean, if I come to work, I'm thinking I do my job. I mean, I think I peak perform, right? I mean, they need to pay me and I get paid. I'm not getting written up. There's no problems. But I know I'm being a little funny and hilarious here, but there's a number of folks who are watching and they're like, you know what? They either lead a team and they want to peak perform, or they're inside of a team and they want to stand out as one of the peak performers. So take a moment and talk about what is your definition of peak performance?
Yeah, I love talking about this. I oftentimes really want people to understand that, especially when I was in sales, I used to always say, I don't want a team of sales reps that try to hit home runs, right? I would rather have people that get really, really good at getting on base. And what peak performance is, it's a concept that if you really do well at the little things over time, continuously, in a very predictable way, you will perform at the highest level, continuously. So peak performance is really geared around how do you get your organization, how do you get individuals to do really, really well at the fundamentals consistently. When you do that, your organization will perform at the highest level. And that's kind of what the concept of peak performance is all about.
I love it, man. Well said. And so what do you say to the person that's watching right now? And this might not be a fair question, but I think it's in your area of expertise. And they're like, okay, I'm a peak performer. Okay, they say to themselves, I'm a rock star, but yet I need to be able to help. I'm not going to call it manage the manager because I haven't been in corporate America in 25 years, but they're trying to manage the person that's in front of them. So they're like, look, I'm trying to help my manager get better. How do I have those conversations when they feel they're already a peak performer, but those around them are not? Is that a fair question? Does that happen inside organizations?
It's a very fair question. And I think one of the biggest challenges with most organizations is I think most teams don't understand that you probably already have the tools inside your teams that you need to do to have really good success. And this is what I mean. Oftentimes, people are gifted in different areas, but you may have them in the wrong area. So if you understand where they're gifted at and where they're good at, and you put them in the right position, then the overall team can maximize their how they perform. So said differently, if you feel like you're a rock star, right, and your manager maybe doesn't see that, then there's a misalignment in how you see your gift and how your manager sees your gift. So there are assessment tools that can really make sure that everyone sees the same thing. And I always say, start off with, with getting rid of your perception, their perception, and get the true assessment of, of how things really are by investing. It's small investment in assessments. They're not that expensive. They're disc assessment. I am certified to do what's called Working Genius, but there are different assessments that everyone can take, and then you can have conversations around it. And for that person that says my manager doesn't know my gifts, it's a really good way to have conversations around the unbiased version of assessments, and then you can kind of go from there.
I love it, man. If you could, we'll slow down for a second, then we'll speed back up. There's some folks that said, Shay, haven't read Cedric's bio. I really don't know this guy. Matter of fact, I didn't go to his website, by the way, but I like what I'm hearing. He's talked about he was in the military, but can you have him slow down for a moment and tell us who is Cedric Singleton so we know who he is? And then what was that defining moment that led him from doing whatever he was doing to now help people be peak performance leader? So, you know the question, what's your backstory, man? And then what led you to doing what you're doing these days?
Yeah, it's crazy because I had a couple of pivots in my life. So at first, I thought I was going to be this career military officer. I started off well. First, I went to the great Howard University in Washington D.C., and at Howard, I was in ROTC, and so which is a training to become a military officer. And I thought I was going to be a career military officer, but then while in the military, I was recruited to be a healthcare professional in sales. So there were corporate recruiters there that wanted to get young officers to be professional, what they call sales executives. I liked what I heard and spent the next 30 years in different commercial corporate sales roles, which a lot of the skills were transferable. You got a chance to lead, you got a chance to be competitive and things along those lines. And there were a lot of different leadership roles in both, of course, the military, but quite frankly, in corporate America as well. And that led me, quite frankly, to really enjoy the challenges of getting teams to perform and hit sales targets and things along those lines. And that brought me to after ending that 30-year career into hopefully pouring in those types of lessons learned into my own consultant services for businesses as well. And that kind of takes me to where I am today.
I love it, man. And as you were saying that, first of all, thanks so much for serving. We appreciate it. Thanks for spending time in the great city. Well, it's not a city. It's not even a state, by the way, but at Howard University in the District of Columbia. We don't have any voting rights, but that's a topic for another time. As you're here and you're right now at the present moment, leadership. For the person says, I'm ready, I'm all in, what are three characteristics that you would say that every great leader possess? Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a loaded question. Okay, I get it. But they want your view of the world. You said, you know what? I'm going to be a peak performance leader. What are three characteristics that someone could have that you would share right now?
Yeah, I think I call it the three P's. I talked about the first one earlier. I think a leader has to care about people, and people it has to be in the center of what drives a leader. Whether you're in the military and you have a mission, your team and your people have to be at the center of your mission. If you're in my case, corporate America, and you have goals, your people have to be at the center of those goals. So people have to be kind of one of the things that a leader is really driven by, helping. Second is placement, and I talked a little bit about that as well. you have to be driven by putting those people in the right position to win. And that means you have to care about, what are the gifts that each of the members of your team have, and how can I make sure that I put those people in the position to maximize their gifts. And then the third is, as a leader, you have to know that you're accountable for productivity, right? And when all is said and done, you are hired to produce. So a leader has to be very, very clear eyed about the fact that you have to produce and you have to make those tough decisions. And some people are built to do that. Some people may not be, but those three P's are the elements that are required for leadership. You have to be care about people. You have to make sure that you put people in the right position. That's the placement, and you have to know that productivity at the end of the day is what you're in position to drive.
I love it, man. I love it. Uh, Thanks for sharing. Thanks for giving us a detailed summary, by the way. I feel like I'm sitting in a master class now. Take a moment, if you would, and for the folks says mindset. I mean, they said, Shay, this guy was in the military. That takes some type of mindset to do things, even when you don't feel like doing it, by the way. I like imagine I've never served in the military, but that's what I hear. So, and you also were in sales, which most folks say, oh my gosh, sales, that's the last thing. Maybe you couldn't get a job. But no, you were in sales and you said you kind of enjoyed it, by the way. So the question I have for you is mindset mastery. Take a moment, talk about what type of mindset do you have? How do you feed your mindset? And more importantly, and this is really the question, how are you able to do things when maybe you don't feel like it because you have that right mindset?
Yeah, mindset. It's funny you say that because I'm working on a talk that I'm going to be doing shortly around mindset, and I call it. I'm titling it "It's All in Your Head." That's the title of my talk, and the key behind that is you have to determine, how much you believe in what you're thinking about accomplishing, right? And if you believe in it, you have to visualize doing it. I call it visualize doing the thing before you do the thing, because that's the first part of mastering the mindset. If you can visualize yourself doing it, then you can back map the how. If you can't see yourself doing it, it's impossible to determine how to get it done. But if you can see yourself doing it, then you can say, okay, I saw myself writing that book. Okay, now let me back map, and determine how to write a book. But if you can't even imagine that myself even writing a book, then you don't really have the mindset yet. And you can apply that to almost anything in life, but you have to start with the mindset. And the last thing I'll say on this, Shay, is you got to get rid of those people, not get rid of them literally, but from a mindset perspective, that are going to take away, in your mind, your thought patterns that are going to drive you towards what's possible and drive you away from that. Because if you stay in that and with those individuals, you will never ever visualize doing the thing before you do the thing.
I love it. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days? You seem to have a smile every time you're explaining what's going on. You kind of light up. I feel the energy raise up a few notches. So, what do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days?
The thing is, it's not rocket science. The thing I enjoy, and thank goodness it's not rocket science, or I wouldn't be the person for it. But what I enjoy is that there's so many light bulbs that go off, I should say, when I'm working with people, because this is not, anything that's like revolutionary. It's almost like when you are able to have people take a step back and think through, like I just mentioned, if you really care about people and you want them to succeed, it makes sense that if you're a leader, that would be at the center of what you want to focus on to lead these individuals that you care about. So I enjoy helping individuals who want to lead, put them in a position to be effective leaders. I enjoy that. The short answer is, being able to help people who want to do the right thing be put in a position to do the right thing.
Thanks for sharing. I love it. We have a segment. I think this is a good, perfect transition. We have a segment here called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you already know what we're about to do. So if you want, you can go ahead and say those magical words. Today is my January 1st. Happy New Year to you, by the way. And for everyone else who's tuning in and you're watching for the very first time, you might be wondering, man, what in the LL Cool J is Che Brown talking about? Well, today is my January 1st is our personal mantra here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. You don't have to wait till January 1st. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is or how bright and sunny that past is, the past no longer equals the future. And so my question for the one and only Cedric on the other side is that when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? But more important, number two, it sounds like your life's been perfect so far. Was there ever a setback that you had in your life? Maybe it's life been perfect, guy. The guy seemed to be sailing through life. He said 31 years of marriage. Y'all did hear that. He didn't say 31 years of marriage to different women. He said 31 years of marriage to the same woman, by the way. So I'm curious, and I know I laugh and I joke, but I'm curious, man. This guy had any setbacks in his life? So let me get serious. Two-part question. Today's my January 1st. What do you hear? And number two, what was the setback you had, man? And how did you bounce back from it?
So Shay's trying to get me in trouble. I have been married 31 years and it was the same woman. So get me in trouble on that one. So when I hear the January 1st do-over, I actually hear, and I'll talk about my own, but I hear that when you say that so many people have their dreams deferred. That's what I hear. There's an annual statistic that Gallup does, and that statistic references how many people achieve their dreams, and year after year it's single digits. It's like 6-7% of people achieve their dreams, and even more alarming is about 80 or 85% have no plans to achieve their dreams, and at the same time 60% are unhappy at work, and 1 in 5 are absolutely miserable. So what I hear is, while all that's the case, most people just continue to defer their dreams. And it's unfortunate. And so when I hear that do-over question, what I would say is I would implore and challenge and encourage people to take that first step. And just whatever you're passionate about, if you're an accountant and you dream of writing a book, I would encourage you to take the first step. Everyone has an iPhone and everyone has the Google machine. Just Google how to write a book. Go on YouTube and you can probably get a 10-minute tutorial on how to write a book, and just start with, that first step on whatever your passion is. So when I hear that, Shay, it's just so many people put their dreams on hold, and today is do-over day. So just give it a shot. So that's what I hear when you say that. So that's the first part of that question.
Said so well, man. Thanks a lot for sharing, man. I appreciate that. And when I get a chance to ask questions, I like to always ask what's something you've learned. But 31 years of marriage. I mean, number of our audience are women and men that are watching. They might be wondering, man, it has nothing to do with peak performance, but he sounds like he might be peak performing in his life. Over here, what's one of the secrets, man? I'm on my third marriage. Don't judge me, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all already know. So don't judge me. I'm very, very happy. I finally married the woman of my dreams from high school, by the way. So I'm a lucky guy. But I want to know the secret. So what's the secret, man?
So what I hear when you say you're in your third marriage, that means you're not a quitter. So congratulations.
Thank you.
But I think my wife and I. So I want to say it wasn't like a smooth rocket ship. So I don't want to say that, but I think that we have just grown. It's been 3 decades, and I think it's been 3 decades of growth. And we've become partners over those 3 decades, and we've actually been able to learn how to. This is going to sound. However it sounds, but we've learned how to deal with each other's, quirks, because I got a bunch of them. So we've been able to just deal with each other's quirks, and she'll know, okay, he's on one right now, so that is what it is, and I'll know she's on one right now, and that is what it is, and then we meet in the middle, and that's just kind of how it is. And so beyond that, you're gonna have to pay me to get any more advice.
I like that. That's a good one. Good answer to that one. That's a really good answer, by the way. One of my favorite questions to ask when we have time, we have a few minutes here, is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I'll frame it for the audience so they're kind of clear that you probably read more books than you remember these days, okay? You maybe watch more videos, and I don't count the hours anymore. I'm confident these days you had more mentors through different parts of your life. But if you had to step back and say, man, of all the lessons I've learned, here's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever been given. What is it and why?
One of the best pieces of advice that I've been given, I was given when I was actually a younger teenager, and I share it now. I'm very active with young kids today, and I give this advice to young teenagers myself. And the advice was, before you think about doing something crazy, think of the best thing that can happen from whatever you're about to do, and think of the worst thing that can happen from about what you're about to do, and be ready to deal with the worst. And that has made a lot of difference in some of the decisions that I've made. Because if you're about to, as a quick example, if you're about to rob a bank, the best thing that can happen, I guess, is you can get a lot of money. And of course, the worst thing that can happen is, it can be very, very tragic. And if you're willing to deal with the very, very tragic, then you probably will think twice. And so I tell that to young kids all the time, and hopefully it resonates with most of them. But that advice really shook me up when I was a teenager, and so I would share that with others.
Yeah, well, I'm still young at heart too, so it's pretty cool. Good advice, man. What does success look like for you these days? For where you are in your life, where you are in your career, what does success look like or feel like for you these days?
Wow, I just kind of springboarded off of it just now. Success for me. I'm very involved. I live in Southern Maryland, and I'm very involved with our Chamber of Commerce, Charles County Chamber of Commerce. I'm involved with my fraternity, the great Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and I'm the director of education with the teenagers in this county, and I'm very, very involved working with these young people. And success for me is when, because of the work that we do with these young people, we hear that they're going off to college, or they're going off to a trade or something along those lines. Or I'm seeing more of these young people, just at the grocery store or Target, or that kind of thing, and they notice me, or that kind of all that. Those things just light me up, and I just love it. And I would say to any man in particular, I would say any men of color, any black men, I would say get involved. I would encourage, especially nowadays, I would encourage you to just get involved in a young person's life. You can tremendously make a difference. You don't know how impactful you can be in these young people's lives. And that drives me nowadays.
Wow, so authentic, man, so transparent. We come down the home stretch, a two-part question. Number one, well, before I do that, what do you do for fun? Like when you're not out saving the world, when not being a top performance, when you're not out just trying to make a difference in everybody else's life, what do you do for fun these days?
One thing I really enjoy doing is I enjoy working out. We have a local Planet Fitness. I go there pretty much every other day or so. I'm really involved with my fraternity, as I mentioned, and with just some of the local, because when I was in corporate America, there was probably a bit of an imbalance of how much time I spent, in that space. Now there's more of of my time is spent in the community, and I enjoy it. So it doesn't feel like work, although it is a lot of work, but it doesn't feel as much like work. But that's kind of how I spend my time, and I enjoy doing it. And of course, with my lovely wife, who I think I hear, that's another thing that keeps that marriage going. They just pop up on you. so, so yeah, that's the other thing. My wife, who's so beautiful and gorgeous. But yeah,
Good answer.
those
And also
things.
the truth.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. But yeah, those keep me going.
Cool. As we come down the home stretch, a two-part question. Number one, what type of clients is your firm looking to work with these days? I'm not sure if you're taking on any more clients. And number two, how can folks connect with you? Where can they go online? How can they connect with you if they want to stay in this conversation over and beyond the time that you and I have now?
Yeah, so two types of clients basically. Any organization, primarily small businesses, but any organization that's looking for help with leadership development, leadership training, sales training in particular. I am certified with the John Maxwell methods, as well as what's called Working Genius. That's with Pat Lencioni. So I'm certified to help organizations there. I do speaking as well as helping small businesses. I didn't mention this much, but a lot of small businesses struggle with business credit and financing, so I can help with that as well. So that's one area. Also, as I mentioned, corporate speaking. So if you're looking for someone that can motivate and inspire your team, happy to talk to anyone looking for that type of service as well. And I can be reached at thepeakleadership.com, as well as on the socials, Cedric Singleton 1906, Cedric Singleton 1906 on all the socials.
Well, let me say thanks so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show, man. I appreciate it. I know you can always make more money, but you cannot make more time. So you've given us the most precious resource you have, which is your time. So thanks so much for being on the show, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, because without you, well, we don't have a show. So thanks for letting us be on your phone right now, or maybe we're on your tablet. Some of you, we're in your ears right now. You might be working out like Cedric, by the way, somewhere, and you're listening right now. We appreciate you because without you, we don't have a show. And I never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that no matter what's going on in your life, whether you're doing really well and you're going to that next level, or life's hit you with the punch you never seen coming, the one thing I know for sure is that today, no matter what the date is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name hasn't changed. It's still Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. We out of here. Thanks a lot, Cedric. I appreciate you, man. I'll see you soon. Peace, everybody. Bye-bye.